Struggling to pay your child support? Are not receiving any? Need a modification? Has the Department of Revenue filed a case against you? Don't face this alone. If you are dealing with a child support problem, a knowledgeable family law attorney may be able to help you solve it. Let us help so you can focus on being the best parent you can be. Stress less, choose more.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Conti Smith, and I am excited to be here this afternoon with Melissa. Melissa, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Conti. I am Melissa Trevino. I am an immigration attorney here at Symphorien-Saavedra Law. And I want to thank you, first of all, to allow me to share this space with you and be able to help out and reach out to our community.
Well, Melissa, we're happy to have you. So let's get into it. Every month, if you've been watching us and tune in, we answer immigration and family law questions. So if anyone has a comment or a question, please drop it in the comment section and we will do our best to answer it. So let's get into some questions. The first question, my spouse is a U.S. citizen and uses my immigration status to control me. Then can that count as abuse under VAWA?
So this is a really good question. And the answer shortly is yes. Any kind of abuse, mental abuse, coercion, intimidation can be used for VAWA petition purposes. So it's really important to be able to document these things. If it's being texted or if it's calls, sometimes you can record them, but more so any kind of written documentation or text messages is something that you do want to kind of save because that's a very important element to a whole VAWA petition.
Okay. All right. Can I still get legal status if I divorce my abusive U.S. citizen spouse before my green card is approved?
Yes, you can still get a divorce. USCIS or immigration authorities don't expect, that you maintain a relationship with an abusive spouse. So there is ways to go around it. Now, if it's before an initial green card application is approved, VAWA petition is an option, as well as if it's a removal of conditions. If you just have a conditional 2-year green card status and you have to now remove your conditions and you're applying for your permanent resident status, there's also an option to remove your conditions based on divorce of an abusive U.S. citizen spouse.
Okay. All right. What if my spouse never filed my immigration papers like they promised? Do I have any options under VAWA?
So VAWA is very useful also, again, for this kind of option. If there was intimidation used, because usually it's not just the promise of immigration papers or filing of immigration papers, there's more to it. If they're using it to control you in a relationship, and some days, they are in the mood to help you, and other days that they're not in the mood, and because depending on what's going on in the situation or relationship. But that is something that can be used in support of. So in it of itself, it's hard to just say my spouse promised me to file. However, intimidation, coercion, any kind of control, whether it's finances or control of the legal status situation, is an option that can be filed for VAWA purposes.
All right. I'm undocumented and afraid to go to court for a restraining order. Can I still file from an immigration standpoint?
So yes, you can still file for a restraining order. You do not have to have a legal status to file a restraining order. It's not one of the requirements. So you can still file it. I know that some, individuals, some victims are very nervous at going to any kind of courthouse to do anything, legally related. However, it is something that can be done. Immigration status is not one of the requirements.
And just to add to that, we handle a lot of restraining order or injunction cases, is what we call them here. And the court's not asking you, or the judge is not asking you to verify your legal status in that hearing. It may come up if the other person brings it up, but it's not where you have to, swear under oath and then state your status. Like, that's not how it works. So it can be intimidating. And people can use that as a way to intimidate you, to prevent you from going, but they don't ask about your status in those hearings. The other side may bring it up, but the judge is not making you verify or state your status at that hearing. So just an FYI. All right. If I call the police or file a case, will immigration be notified?
They are not, they're two different agencies. There should not be any notifications to immigration authorities if you file or call the police or file a case or even call the police. So they're two different agencies. There should be no connection. Again, that's just something that the victims, again, are very nervous about. And that's why there's not a lot of calls being made or not a lot of cases being reported. But they're two different agencies. Immigration is not automatically notified upon the calling of police.
Okay. Can I apply for a U visa if I report domestic violence to the police?
So that's a very good question. U visa is something that is different from, U visa is something that is different from VAWA petitions. And on itself, if you are a victim of a domestic violence case and you cooperate, you call the authorities and you cooperate with the investigation, you can qualify. You may be eligible to qualify for a U visa certification, which is something that needs to be that the authorities have to certify that you cooperated with them. It's important in those types of cases to definitely, speak with an immigration attorney, because if the abuser is a United States citizen and it's a spouse or a lawful permanent resident spouse, then VAWA can also be an option. So you may have two different options here. But if you're not in a marriage with a United States citizen or a lawful permanent resident, then U visa may be the option for you.
Okay. All right. My abuser threatened to have me deported if I told anyone. How can I protect myself?
I'm sorry, give me 1 second. I think I'm having some technical difficulties here.
You're fine.
Can you hear me, Conti?
Yes.
I can't hear you. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, Conti, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Perfect. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened.
No, you're fine. You're fine. So let's start over. So my abuser threatened to have me deported if I told anyone. How can I protect myself?
So definitely, this is something that you want to document. Document this threat. You have to protect yourself. So definitely the first thing is to contact an immigration attorney, because as a victim and as an individual, you have rights. So you want to definitely protect those rights, know that you have rights, and you don't have to specifically or directly speak with ICE officers if they were to come to your home, things of that nature. However, you do want to document what's being threatened to you. You want to make sure you have this evidence, because again, this could qualify you for a VAWA petition.
Okay. And also just understand that if you get an injunction granted, it's just a piece of paper. So you have to be diligent in how you protect yourself. And just make sure that you don't allow someone to continue to harm you. So you might have to try to figure out how you can remove yourself from the situation. But even if you go through and get a court order injunction, that's not going to stop something from physically happening to you. Like you can call the cops, but you still need to be aware of your surroundings and just make sure that you're taking steps to protect yourself as well. All right. Can I still qualify for VAWA if the abuse was emotional or financial, not just physical?
Yes. VAWA petitions, the element is any abuse or extreme cruelty. So that could be emotionally, that could be financially, that can be psychologically. It's not just physical abuse. If you suffered any of these kinds of abuse within the marriage, that is something that could qualify you for VAWA. Again, that's just something that needs to be fully documented, fully prepared. And that's when, you want to be able to seek legal advice on that.
Okay. And what evidence do I need to apply for VAWA or a U visa?
So again, these are two different cases. A VAWA petition is generally when you are married to a United States citizen or a lawful permanent resident. You want to obviously be able to show that the marriage was entered into in good faith. You want to be able to show that you lived with your spouse and that you suffered cruelty or abuse within the marriage. So things like documentation, police reports, restraining orders, text messages of threats. If there's physical abuse, medical records as well would be something that would also help to support a VAWA petition. If you are not married and you still suffer domestic violence, you can call the police and you want to cooperate with authorities. If there's an arrest made, you want to cooperate with the district attorney. Either of these authorities can certify that you were a victim of domestic violence. That's the number one requirement for a U visa case. Once it's been certified, you still have to show that harm that you suffered, physical, emotional, psychological, all of that. You want to be able to show the consequences of that incident of domestic violence. And then, if a waiver is needed, then that's something that's additional, but you would be able to qualify for a domestic violence case for either or.
Okay. All right. And how does getting a restraining order or a police report help in an immigration case?
They help because restraining orders and police reports are going to be supplemental to your own testimony of the abuse within the marriage. So it's a very important piece of evidence to be able to include in your package. It's something that's additional. As well as medical reports. Those are all additional documentation that's going to be in support of your own affidavit. So they're going to be very helpful when it comes to any immigration case filing.
Mm-hmm. And if I leave my spouse because of abuse and they accuse me of kidnapping our children, how do I protect myself legally?
So as far as immigration purposes go, you want to obviously be able to document all of the threats that's being made to you, the accusations that are falsely being made against you. And then you want to be able to speak with an attorney that can help you with this kind of accusation. For immigration purposes, unless there's some kind of actual conviction or charges that are placed against you in court, this would not be able, this is not going to be affecting the filing itself.
And from the family law standpoint of it, it's when cops are involved and it's like, they say it's kidnapping and it's the parents, they usually say it's a civil matter and they'll let the courts handle it. So it's, depends on which officer you get, but typically they're going to say, this is a family law issue. You need to go handle it in family law court. If there's no clear order on who should have time sharing or custody of that child. So that's what I see what happens in most cases, but sometimes you get those one-offs that are a little bit different, but it should be a civil issue that's handled in family court. But people threaten that I'm going to call the cops for kidnapping. Okay. I mean, it happens a lot, but I wouldn't, put too much weight on there being a consequence from that absent a court order. Okay. And the last question is, can I file for custody or time sharing if I'm staying at a domestic violence shelter? And the answer from a family law attorney is yes, you can. You could file for custody or time sharing while you're at a domestic violence shelter. So that doesn't stop you from filing. Okay. So I hope that this session was helpful for all of those that are watching. Melissa, if someone wants to reach out to your office or reach out to you to get immigration help, how can they find you?
Of course, they can give us a call at 407-802-1717. We're going to be very happy to attend you and take care and be able to answer these questions, immigration related questions for you.
Awesome. Thank you, Melissa, for joining us. And if anyone who's watching has a family law issue or question, please call our office at 407-831-0203. We offer free 15-minute consultations and we'd be happy to answer any questions that anyone has. So again, Melissa, thank you for your time. Have a great day for everyone who tuned in, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. I appreciate you having me here and being able to, again, just reach out and, to the community and help them as much as we can.
All right. We appreciate you. Everybody have a great day.
Thank you.